Welcome to this conversation with Peace at Home Parenting founder and president Ruth Freeman. I'm Aaron Weintraub, and today we are talking about the upcoming holiday, Mother's Day, and what it is that mothers really want and how best to support and celebrate the person who mothers in your life. So thank you. I wanted to start with a few facts about the holiday and motherhood that I thought were relevant. And Ruth, maybe you can react to those. The first one was that in a 2016 survey, this is from the Harvard Business School, of newly divorced people, this was a survey of newly divorced people, 30% of the people who responded listed disagreements over housework as the top reason for their split. All right, fact number one. Fact number two is that the average working mom spends a little over 21 hours per week doing housework, according to mom.com. So Ruth, with that in mind, as we gear into celebrating the mothers in our lives and you being a mother in a lot of different ways, love to hear some of your thoughts.
Well, one thing I think about related to Mother's Day is that it's not just biological mothers. I think a lot of us feel mothered by certain people in our lives. And it's a great time to just reflect on that. Sometimes I get emails or cards from people that just say, you know, I feel like you've been a mother in my life in this way, and they tell me how. And that probably is the thing I personally like best about Mother's Day. What I always liked was the kids or my husband Joe expressing gratitude in specific ways and saying, I really appreciate how you always make a great meal and invite everybody over and make it festive. When they describe mothering behaviors that I do that they appreciate, that means a lot to me. But that's my sort of language of love. And even today, my daughter is a mother. And she will sometimes, you know, on Mother's Day, write me cards and talk about what she appreciates about me as a mother and as a grandmother to her kids. So mothers can have this fantasy about Mother's Day based on, you know, films we see or images from advertising. But in the end, they might feel disappointed because they didn't actually communicate their vision of Mother's Day. And maybe they didn't even actually have one, but they were hoping something really special was going to happen. So one of the challenges about Mother's Day is I often will tell mothers, I hope you'll talk with your family about your vision for Mother's Day. But I also heard you thinking about what to do for the mother in your life. And I really love it when family members are interested in what mom wants for Mother's Day. And do you have any thoughts, Aaron, about how people can do that and kind of
Yeah, well, so we talked about different languages of love, different ways of picking up on that, and now what we're talking about is how to understand and learn and know what the mother in your life would feel would demonstrate your value, the value that you feel for them. And one is communication, which would be having a conversation, either being initiated by the mother or other people asking. But that's not everybody's strong point either. And so the other would be observation. And that to me almost feels more valuable, right? Because rather than saying, what do you want? There's a specialness or a value that comes from being seen, which I think is sometimes even more poignant than being heard, in the sense that it's an act of love in itself to pay attention to notice what the mother in your life is doing for the family of service, what they need for themselves, what they value. And I think that that's what you pointed to in the gifts that you've felt most valued by, in that they were recognition, they were acknowledgement of some of the things you've been doing for the people in your life that maybe had previously, you weren't sure if they were being noticed or not. And to know that you're being seen, I think is a really valuable gift.
And that's all circles back to attachment. We often want parents to see their kids and get their kids, but we as adults need those attachment behaviors as well. I was interested in the housework conversations. And, what I've read is that since the pandemic, mothers mostly have added about 5 hours a week of domestic responsibilities. And it's really, with all the changes in our society, the burden fell more to mothers very clearly during
Yeah.
this crisis.
Well, what strikes me about that is one of the things that you articulate really clearly in the classes that you teach as a core value is conversations about routines. And I think that that's so important because routines happen whether we plan them or acknowledge them or not. And we tend to slide into them. In my house, we've just been upended because my wife broke her hand at work. And so there were all of these sort of unspoken routines that we have, and that, she does the laundry because she likes, she doesn't like her sweaters put in the dryer. I unload the dishwasher because it gives her existential dread to feel like it's a task that will never be done because we're just always getting them dirty again, right? So we have our things that we do, and we each have the expectation of the other person because that's the pattern. But it's helpful to re-examine because they're not always working for each person in the same way, because routines exist within rhythms of our lives. And so having those conversations about the routines and just, are they working? And this can involve the whole family and the children, is a way of getting at some of the shared burden of housework, to help each person feel seen and heard. And I think ultimately to support the entire family system, which makes everybody happier.
I think that given this data that you've come up with, and what I sense intuitively and what I hear from moms, is that partners who are willing to really partner around those domestic responsibilities, our traditional roles have been that women have focused more on that home responsibility, and it's been diminished in importance in many ways. And I think that when partners really work together around those responsibilities, I actually read this research article that I can't re-find again, but it talked about when partners perceive that domestic responsibilities are fairly shared, not even, but fairly shared, they have a better sex life. And better sex life is associated with a better relationship altogether. And when parents are close to partners, they tend to be calmer in their parenting. So there's a lot of ways this circles back to kids. But the bottom line is, one of the most important gifts might be for partners to just sit down and say, just let's look at how we're handling the family and family life and our home, and how can we do this in a more positive way and do it as a family. It might be the sweetest gift you can give. And also I would just to say to moms, if you're envisioning a special Mother's Day, please talk about it. And to those who love moms, I would say observe them, notice them, and be curious about them, see them with care and detail. And it probably will benefit the whole family.
I love that. Well, Ruth, now that we've met our high standard for emotionally intelligent, thoughtful discourse, what I want to know from you is, who is your favorite television mom?
My favorite television mom. Wow. Aaron, you got me. I mean, the first one that comes to mind, and I hate to mention his name, but it's Bill Cosby's wife.
Oh, Felicia Rashad was the actress's name. I can't, Claire Huxtable.
Claire Huxtable. I don't know. I just felt like she was funny and sardonic. She put up with all his somewhat narcissistic stuff. And I just thought she was balanced, and I loved her.
All right.
But I'm going to think more on that. There might be more.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for this conversation. I think that the takeaway for me is that rather than jumping onto Amazon and looking for a last minute gift that will be delivered by Sunday, one of the most valuable gifts you can give is a conversation that strives for fairness in the distribution of household chores and emotional labor, which will help the mother in your life to feel seen, heard, and valued. Is that right, Ruth?
I would just add, to have a conversation that focuses on to be curious about what's most important for mom in this moment. It might be based on the data. It might be how we're handling our day-to-day functioning in the house, but it might be something else. She might be having a little quiet whispering vision for herself that you can support her in. And it might be outside the family. It might be some creativity or something, some little idea she has. So that just that curiosity and attunement, I think, is the ultimate gift from my point of view.
Great. Well, thank you. Happy Mother's Day to you, Ruth, and happy Mother's Day to all of the Peace at Home parents out there.